We got my sister Swan in the house. Thank you for being here, fam. Go ahead and put a comment out there. I want folks to be able to follow you if you don't already follow Black Swan. She is amazing. Let me go to Jermaine, brother. I do gotta let you go, man. I hate to let you go, but I do. I gotta.
No, it's fine.
But go ahead.
It's a work night. It's a work night for me anyway. Smitty, I gotta do it. You gotta work with these kids tomorrow. The thing, I also like. I feel like as we, especially as Black Americans, who have an all idea of how the U.S., especially what they've done to Africa, destabilize, pew pew bomb, take the resources and people, and kidnap them and take them all over the world, right? And we know the majority. What's the comment again? And I pointed this out on your lives. I think it was yesterday or the day before. Mm-hmm. Majority of majority of indigenous Africans, where do they reside? The most Black people, where do they reside? They reside in the global South America, Smitty. Mm-hmm. This is we gotta understand, we live in the belly of the beast, of the imperialist beast. So I feel like we, especially as Black people, have a right to make a comment on what this country has done, especially for centuries. For centuries, Smitty, right? And you know this, kidnap, overthrow leaders, African leaders, global South leaders. They've done that, whether they were trying to steal away from U.S. dollar or dominance. What had happened, Smitty? They go destabilize Guatemala, take away their resources, overthrow their leaders, and lead the country in shambles and say, oh, look, that's bad. That's what socialism does to you. Well, no, they get mad every time that a country doesn't want to bootlick them. And so they do whatever they can to meddle in their country. So, Smitty, I feel like we have a right to comment, knowledgeable, not just spewing misinformation, right? What this country does, because we live in the belly of the beast. It's facts. It's not an opinion. It's facts, and we've seen this playbook long before. So thank you, Smitty. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, bro.
Of course, man. Checking into your lives again, man. Thank y'all for having me. Have a good one.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. As always, bro. Thank you for coming out. As always. All right, let's go. Let's go to Tailpipe. Tailpipe, go, brother. Again, another one I hate to let go, but anything else you want to say?
Hey, Smitty. Okay.
Yeah.
So before I go, I'll address the panel so that you guys understand. I don't want what I have seen, and I said it's before, what I have been a part of when it comes to destabilizing other governments and what I have seen happen in my own former country, Haiti. I don't want that for Venezuela. I'm not a Chavista. I'm not in support of Maduro. I'm not. What I'm against is foreign intervention into your country, which will make things considerably worse. The elite of your country will come back and they'll make these claims of how amazing things are, and they will benefit. You will not. As much as your fair skin wants to let you believe that you're a part of them, you are not. I want to be very, very clear about that. You are not. Everything that I have cited has been with facts, not opinions. If you can provide other facts that counter that, I think you should do that. But other than saying things like, well, we weren't getting the oil for 26 years or seeing the revenue, the United States is to blame. Their sanctions are the reason why your hospitals aren't as built up as they would be. Your roads, your infrastructure is not as built up as it would be. That is why. In addition to that, your culture is unique. You should not want the culture of the United States to be superimposed on you, because that erodes the Venezuelan culture. And the very same people that are complaining that Venezuelans and other minorities are coming to their country, they're the same ones that want to come into your country and destroy it and steal from it like they have done for almost 100 years. So all we are saying is we don't want for you what has happened to us and what we have seen happen to us.
All right. Thank you, man. I really appreciate you.
What's the book that he said? I'm sorry. What's the book that he said?
Go ahead, Tailpipe.
The book that you should probably read is called The Jakarta Method. It outlines how it is that the U.S. government destabilizes countries like Venezuela by pitting extreme lefts and rights. For example, in the United United States, the Jakarta method is in full swing. You have the extreme liberal right, the extreme liberal left, and extreme conservative right. And it's designed like that on purpose to create inefficiency. That way, all of the people at the top can continue to steal. And then you can just blame things like immigration as the reason why the economy is not working, when that's not the case. It's just not. It's mathematically not the case.
Okay.
So I would suggest that you read that book. And from the Jakarta Method, you can find plenty of others. If you read In the Shadow of the American Century by Alfred McCoy, the Pentagon literally consults with him in order to find out where things are going to be at geopolitically in the next 10 to 20 years. So I would suggest those two books. But with that, Smitty, again, I can't begin to tell you how important what it is that you're doing is.
Thank you, man.
There's over 500 people in here, but there's probably more than 10,000 people watching who haven't actually clicked in. So continue to do these, Smitty. Please.
Thank you, bro. I really appreciate you. Absolutely, I will do that, man. Really appreciate you. Appreciate you being here. All right, we're gonna let Tailpipe go. Oh, go ahead, Michelle. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, I'm so sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to, I put the title and the author of the book in the chat if anybody wanted that.
Thank you. Jessica, you crack me up, fam. I appreciate you. All right, let me do this. Let me go back to Zam, fam. I love you. Let me go to Carlites again. So I'm still trying to get a sense, right, of, again, the amount of people that you think are supporting what happened with Maduro, and then the amount of people in Venezuela who don't. Do you think it's like 80, 70, 30? Most people support what happened this weekend, or most people don't support? I know what you're saying, that there are going to be people that don't support it no matter what. And then, but do you feel that most Venezuelans are happy right now? What do you think? Or not?
I would say most Venezuelans are happy right now.
Okay.
But with the intervention, it's more about a 50-50. So don't get me wrong. We're really happy. We're really happy that he's out of power. But this is not the end. This is not the end, because everybody that's from his government, they're still in power. They still have the power to do whatever they want in that country.
Yeah,
So that's a good thing that they took him. But still, like, I respect a lot of you guys' opinion on how it should be done, and that I've heard some of you guys say that the U.S. shouldn't be interfering with anything in that country, because there's nothing for them there. So I don't know if you guys seen on TikTok people talking about most of the people that are celebrating are outside of the country.
Yes,
So
I've heard that.
there's almost 8 million Venezuelans in exile. There's, I think, around 1 million Venezuelans in Colombia. After that, there's like 700,000 in the U.S., Chile, Spain. Those are the countries that have the most amount of Venezuelans in exile. For a population that's 30 million, and 8 million of them are outside of the country, they're the ones that are telling you, because they're the ones that are able to tell you. Right now, the streets are almost empty in Venezuela, especially in Caracas, in Maduro. We have the militia around. We have the people that work directly for the government, which are basically thugs that are given a badge to enforce whatever they want. So if you say anything that goes against their narrative, you get thrown into jail. And I say this with experience, first-hand experience, because one of my friends, he's still in jail. He's been in jail for over 2 years. He's the same age as I am. I'm 24 years old. He doesn't know anything other than this dictatorship. And he's in jail right now because he said a comment about the daughter of a known person, which is funny because he's a singer. His name is Omar Enrique. He's a singer, but he's really associated with Maduro, and especially Maduro's son, Nicolásito. So he said something about her daughter, and he's been in prison for
I got you.
for 2 years.
No, I got you. Okay,
And
okay.
go ahead.
Yeah. No, I got you. And I feel like you answered that. You answered it. You answered the question this time. I think Carolina wanted to jump in, and then I want to go to Appa, and then Lourdes. And we'll keep the discussion going. We'll continue to rotate. Still got a lot of people that want to come up. Go ahead, Carolina.
Okay, cool. I don't know if, thank you for the gifts, my loves. I don't know if Killa and Carlites were in here, when I spoke earlier, and if they heard me, but I do have a couple of
I was
listening.
I was listening to you, hon, when I was eating.
Okay.
Then I came back up. Yeah.
Okay, I have a couple of quick questions. One, where do each of you live currently?
Me,
Yes.
Maracaibo, Venezuela.
Okay, thank you. Killa, where do you live?
I live in Florida.
Okay. Can you tell me each how you racially identify? And I promise I'm going somewhere with this.
Me,
Me, Latin, I guess.
Okay, all right. Do either one of you belong to an indigenous community, or would you be considered black in your country?
yes.
You're black, or
On my
you're
mom's
indigenous?
side.
But do you belong to an indigenous community?
No,
Indigeneity is tied to belonging to
not
a community.
indigenous, but
Okay. So the reason why I'm asking
Yeah,
this,
not.
Okay. This is why this is important. I am an indigenous woman from both the United States and Mexico. I am connected. I'm enrolled in my tribe, and I'm connected to both of my tribes. I grew up only as an indigenous woman from an indigenous lens. The reason why I ask this is, I've reiterated multiple times over the past few days about the racial and socioeconomic disparity when talking about how people feel about what's going on in Venezuela. But I want to also point out that you said, you guys have mentioned the word exile a few times. I think that this is a very incendiary word. And the reason I say that is it's something that's only afforded to certain demographics. When we talk about what the United States empire has done in other parts of Latin America that are predominantly indigenous and black, such as Honduras, Nicaragua, Panama, even what economic strife has happened in Mexico in the past. The majority of the people who are immigrating out of those countries under those U.S.-backed dictatorships and the U.S.-backed policies are predominantly racially indigenous and predominantly black. None of our people get afforded the title of exile, ever. Our people don't get afforded TPS. They don't get afforded asylum. When what happened in Honduras, when they overthrew a democratically elected leader and the United States handpicked the right-wing dictator to take place, and they created a G-side on indigenous people and theft of their water and land and mineral and resources, they did not get any type of access to asylum. They were labeled as quote unquote illegal aliens, which is a disgusting term. And they were told to, when their children were coming across the border, they were saying, send them back to teach the parents a lesson. This is all very important. This is not to downplay that under various forms of government, people can experience different types of oppression and strife. We are leaving out a factor. I'm not saying this is the case for everyone, but we are leaving out a factor that a lot of those quote unquote political prisoners have been contracted in some way by the United States to make attempts on those leaders' lives. So not saying they may not have a gripe, but you try to cooperate with a foreign entity to overthrow a government or even give intel, you're going to be subject to imprisonment. That would happen here in the United States as well. And I continue to fail to hear you guys address what was happening in your country to indigenous and black people prior to Chavez taking power. Now, unlike Tailpipe, I am a fucking Chavista. I do not support Maduro. I think he's incompetent. I do think that there is corruption. I think that he's actually insane. But I am a Chavista. I am a socialist. As an indigenous woman, I'm supposed to be a socialist. We believe in taking care of the community over the individual. Capitalism and Slavery is a book I recommended earlier today. Capitalism and Slavery, you will learn that the entire reason why capitalism was introduced into the West was predicated into the Western Hemisphere was predicated on one thing and one thing alone. And that was the commodification and degradation of black and indigenous bodies. Capitalism will never work for us. It will never be for us because it was created here solely to subjugate us. We will always be the underclass for them. So when we're talking about these things, I understand U.S. intervention is never okay, regardless of who is in charge, period. United States does not care. The United States did not interfere when Bolsonaro was slaughtering people. The United States does not interfere and do anything to Netanyahu. The United States doesn't care when they have interests involved. They don't care about black and brown bodies. So prior to Chavez taking power, when indigenous people had no representation in your public assembly, when black and indigenous people had the lowest literacy rates, did not have access to housing, did not have access to food, did not have access to equal education, were being highly discriminated against. I'm just curious. Did anyone in your families speak out or talk about that and say, hey, can someone come into Venezuela and please help the poor and black and indigenous people here? Because it's just, I'm not saying that people's pain doesn't matter, but as an indigenous person who continues to be oppressed on my own land that is occupied by colonizers, like, y'all want me to cry for white elite people who did nothing in the face of such terrible oppression. So I'm just curious where your family stood on that.
So if I can go first.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna be able to talk on that, Miss Caroline, because
My name is Carolina. Si eres Latino, sabes pronunciar mi nombre.
Claro, Carolina, claro. Disculpa,
Gracias.
I don't know.
It's okay. I don't like anglicizing my name for anyone.
Okay, Miss Carolina. Entonces, when that happened, I was literally a child, so I wouldn't be able to tell you. Listen, I experienced this, I experienced that, because literally when I came over here, I was 10 years old, so I wouldn't be able to tell you. What I can tell you,
Wow.
yeah. I mean, did you want me to lie to her?
I mean, but I asked how your families, did your families speak out against that?
Actually, that I remember, no.
Okay.
Okay, let's do this.
I mean,
Let's let Carlos. Carlos, do you want to answer the same question? And then I want to let the three new panelists get in.
Sure. I can answer it. I respect her point. She has made a really good point, because, I mean, she's right. She's right. There was underrepresentation of black and indigenous people in Venezuela, and I think everybody should know that. That's a thing, and it's still a thing today, to this day. Maybe not as much as it was before, but it still is. And to answer her question, to be honest, I was born in 2002. All my dad's side of the family, they're all black. They're all from Bobure, which is known in my state for being a black community. It's known for being a black community. They're right next to the lake. Beautiful community, by the way, beautiful people. So in that sense, yes, my dad did speak up, but it was a completely different government, a completely different time. And I wish I could answer more about that, but like I said, I wasn't even born at that time. But
Okay.
I respect the question, and I value your opinion.
Okay, thank you for that. Let me go to Appa. Appa, thank you for coming up. What do you think about the headline? Let's see if we can get back to that to a certain degree. Trump says Venezuela to turn over 30 to 50 million barrels of oil to the United States. What do you think this means?
It means, hey everybody, peace to the panel. It means that history is repeating itself for the 10th millionth time. Sorry, I've been waiting patiently since morning. I think your mama was here and there's stuff that I want to respond to her. And there's a lot that I accumulated, but I'm going to condense everything. I mean, I'm going to summarize everything, right? So I don't take a lot of time.
Okay.
Yeah, and first of all, so I have a PhD in Latin American history, and I'm a Put a pitch, as I said, and I've gone to conferences around the world, and I speak 3 languages fluently, not including the other ones that I know a handful. I say this because I am fed up with people that are defending, Venezuelans that are defending U.S. imperialism that say that we have no business talking about what's going on, because I just want to show that I do have some credibility. And by their logic, if we're not professional politicians or economists, then none of us can talk about this topic, right? Okay. That being said, again, I'm not here to condemn or praise what's his face, Maduro. I'm here to talk about how this is bad for Venezuela. I mean, U.S. intervention is bad for Venezuela because this is a recycled mechanism that has been going on since the 19th century, right? U.S. going into Latin America and destroying, not rehabilitating, not fixing. No, it's destroying, it's destabilizing, right? Regions at the national or at the local level, right? Um, and also, I mean, the Hannah who mentioned like there's no racism, and again, race history is one of my specialties too. And again, it's delusional because we have inherited colonial racial systems like the casta systems, right? And people that like criollos who were pushing for independence, they didn't want equality. They had a glass ceiling from people born in Europe called the Peninsulares because of the peninsula. And they just wanted to have power. They didn't want to share it and distribute power and wealth to Black and Indigenous people. If anything, the Afro Nueva Granada population that were at the front lines, not Simon Bolivar, but like Afro Latin Americans fighting, and because of them contributing to successes in battle, they were betrayed after independence. And when they spoke out against racist systems, they were labeled as troublemakers. They were labeled as antipatristas, right? Desecrating patriotic unity, when in fact there was no unity. And we can see that in all these places across Latin America. Now, what's going to happen with Venezuela? Again, I can list all the U.S. interventions, but I really want to focus on Guatemala and Chile, right? Because Guatemala, the U.S. intervened in the 1950s when a democratically elected socialist, Jacobo Arbenz, was elected, and he wanted to nationalize and distribute land holdings that sort of belonged to the United Fruit Company, which was an American company. United Fruit Company cried like a baby to the U.S. The U.S. intervened clandestinely because, again, they want to paint the picture that they are, beacons of freedom and autonomy and self-determination, but it's BS, right? And they started circulating propaganda, anti-communist propaganda, labeling Jacob Arbenz as the worst person since mustache guy, providing resources to the right-wing rebels, right, leading to the toppling of that government, right? Did Guatemala become a politically and economically stable country? Absolutely not. They entered a 30-year civil war, right? Leading to the election of not the election, I'm using that loosely, Romero Lucas Garcia in the 80s, that he was a paranoid person trying to get rid of any left-wing opposition and resistance, leading to a mass unaliving, a genocide of indigenous people, the Maya Ixil. And he wouldn't stand trial until the 2010s. And even then, that was chaotic, right? And then skipping to 1973, another socialist or communist, depending on what you believe, elected person, Salvador Allende, won the popular vote, and he was sworn in. Is it okay if I can turn on my camera real quick? Host?
No way, but he should be okay with that, Appa.
Okay, thank you. So hopefully y'all can see. This is actually, I use it for my students, right? This was part of the Latin American Reader series. This is specifically the Chilean Reader, right? And this is from a memorandum between Richard Nixon and Henry Kissinger, who was his Secretary of State at the time. They were worrying. I'm not going to read the whole thing because we don't have time. But again, they're panicking about what will happen with this socialist in power, right? They will have an effect on what happens in the rest of Latin America and the world. They will affect our own conception of what our role in the world is, right? So they understand they have to work clandestinely, right? And again, they are afraid of U.S. investments. They do not talk about the Chilean people, only about U.S. investments, and that it is like a kick in the groin if they don't stop, this socialist takeover, right? They acknowledge that he was elected legally, democratically. They want to present this self-determination, support. On the other hand, our failure to react risks perceiving Latin America and Europe as indifference or whatever, right? So they understand that they have to work strategically and what's the word I'm looking for? nasty, I guess, for lack of a better word, right? And again, because Allende wanted to nationalize the copper market, the copper industries, right? Again, these people wanted to distribute lands and help their people, but the U.S. is not for it, right? They care more about, again, industrial corporation profits, right? And this is like again, in his after getting elected, Allende was praising, his win, saying, "Okay, today we can say this is our copper, our coal, our iron, not foreign investors, right?" And what happened? They were back under the CIA. And with Henry Kissinger's hand, they were again circulating propaganda, aiding the far right. And so, what happened? The general named Augusto Pinochet brought in tanks and boom boomed the presidential palace on September 11th, 1973. Okay, so Allende was unalived, and after that, many people were unalived, including students, and many women and grandmothers were asking the government, "Where did my child go?" Many of them were vanished into history. Some of them, their bodies were found in Argentina. Right, again, no stability. And I guess somebody mentioned about a singer that was taken. This is Victor Jara. He was unalive because he spoke out. He wrote songs against the Pinochet government, and he was unalive in a soccer stadium. And now the soccer stadium is named after him. So again, this is a cautionary tale, and this is my specialty, right? And I'm not even mentioning how Pinochet also screwed over the Mapuche, the indigenous people of Chile and Argentina, by taking away their lands for copper profits and revenue, right? If the U.S. is about rehabilitating places, how do we explain Puerto Rico when they needed them the most during the hurricane? What about Hawaii? And why are native people of Hawaii exploited and marginalized? What about Iraq? Again, I can go over and over. And somebody mentioned about the bad medicine, the D word, right? Again, 1980s, Reagan administration, Oliver North. Again, we can spend a whole day about this, and this is just history repeating itself. And what's her face? I'll land here. What was her name? Your mama talking about like there's a prosperity in the U.S. and a capitalist state. We're not an absolute capitalist state country, right? And the reason why there's no longer relatively lack of exploitation of workers, and you don't have to work more than 40 hours a day without overtime. Sorry, a week, or weekends are off, is because of unions, because of strikes, because of worker organizations. We forget about that. We forget about all these socialist institutions, especially imported during the Green New Deal. And there I land.
All right. Thank you, Apple. Wow.
That's my bro. That's mi hermano Purepecha, que vive la raza.
All right. Let me go to Lourdes. Lourdes, what do you think? What do you think this means for the United States or for Venezuela? Trump says Venezuela turned over 30 to 50 million barrels of oil. Well, Lourdes, are you there?
Oh, sorry. This is the first time I'm on any live panel.
Okay.
So what's up, guys? So I'm half Venezuelan, half Dominican. I have family in Venezuela. And I just wanted to point out a couple of things that I know to be true because of my family that's over there. I have an aunt who has been a nurse over there for about 25 years in Valencia. And she was working at a hospital for, all those years. And she told me that a lot of the hospitals and government funded equipment like MRI machines, X-ray machines, and things like that have been stolen from the private clinics. And they were able to prove it because of the serial numbers on those machines. So they were taking the machines from the government funded hospitals that was paid for by the government, and they were taken by the private clinics. And just so happened that all those machines were showing up in private clinics, and they're charging the people so much money to use the same, equipment facilities that were given to the people from the government. So and it's been proven, just like the serial numbers, everything. So that's one thing. So, it's like, those hospitals and all the pharmacies and everything that the government keeps handing people things, but they keep getting stolen and then they get funneled and siphoned into private companies. So that's one thing. The other thing is that I think that really any time that there's like a country that tried to implement socialism or communism or try to nationalize their resources, America just tries to go in there and sabotage, destabilize to kind of make it the narrative that that sort of way of running your country doesn't work. So I feel like if we as America would just let the countries kind of just run how they want to run, if let's say they want to nationalize their stuff and just let it ride out and actually see if it works without any intervention, we could actually like know for a fact that yes, it works or no, it doesn't work. But if every single time that a country tries to kind of do that, you know, they get intervened, sabotaged, and then they're like, oh, well, see, that doesn't work. So it's just kind of crazy to me. But another thing is that the way that I see the bigger picture in Venezuela also is that with Chavez, he was a president that they prioritized the poor, really. Mm-hmm. And so the people who had like private companies or, you know, anything like that, yes, they're going to be upset because it's, you know, it's like dismantling their businesses and all that. And I would understand that that's shitty. But I think he was just trying to prioritize the majority, which were the poor. And it just so happened to be that they were, you know, Black, Indigenous, XYZ. And a lot of the ones that did have their private companies and all that were, you know, they just so happened to be the whiter end of the spectrum, and those are the ones that kind of fled and exiled themselves to other places, and those are the ones that are out here saying that the government is not good. But the majority of those people were poor, so that's kind of how, you know, they benefited from that. Like during, you know, Chavez's time, they built like millions of homes. My cousin is actually in the military over there, and she told me at one point that they were building all these like homes for the poor, and they literally gave them houses with like furnishings inside with appliances, and that she physically had to go into these houses and like put tables, appliances, down to the tablecloths, which was like insane to me. She's like, we literally had to give these people houses with everything in it. And this was like millions of homes over like, I want to say like 6 years. They built millions of homes for the poor people just for free. So, you know, it's like, yes, it sucked if you had like private stuff, but I think because the government was prioritizing mostly the poor, it just happened to be the majority. Yeah, so that's kind of what I wanted to say.
No,
thanks, guys.
Yeah. Thank you. No, I appreciate that. We're going to go to Jose. But before we do, I feel like we are slowing down on our tapping. Please tap the screen. Please continue supporting the live the way that you have been doing. You know, y'all know if y'all have questions, you know, I will try to get them up to the panelists. I am going to ask the panelists that all of y'all kind of condense a little bit because we got 8. Normally, I only go up to 6. So this is much higher than I normally go as far as panelists, but I want to try to get more people up so that they can opine and discuss this very, very kind of crazy time that we're in. If you like what the panelists are saying, please either gift or follow or support them as well. I appreciate that. And we're going to go to Jose. Jose, your thoughts on what this means is 30 to 50, million barrillas de aceite a los Estados Unidos. ¿Cuál es su opinión, señor?
Gracias, Mr. Smith. Hi, Miss Nina. Thank you for inviting me. My English is, I never get a formal education here because I was working since I was 18. I came to Southern California. I never moved. I live here. But I'm going to Venezuela regularly since 2008 and 2014, 2016. Obama started the sanctions under Obama, and it was Nicolas Maduro. He took over because Hugo Chavez, he perished on 2013. And he never had, even though he had a military coup against him, that it was successful. And then after 3 days, they took him back to the, to the government. They didn't unalive him. So I think that was their mistake. And he came back to power, and then he got cancer, and then he perished. But Maduro, when he got into power, that was when the big sanctions started, especially under Donald Trump. It was really hard because he just want to take over. And you remember what he says? It was almost down. I put sanction, and we want that oil, and he almost was out of power, the Chavistas. And then Mr. Joe Biden became president. And then the sanction went on, but it wasn't that as strong as when he came back to power. And then about the 50 million barrels of that's a lie, because you cannot put something and shake it and have oil. It takes at least, Donald Trump is always lying. It takes at least like 10 years to recover the whole thing that the way it's supposed to be a long time ago, because even with the other governments that were from the right, they destroyed the whole thing also, but they never talk about it. How come Chavez get into power if everything was good, right? With the majority of the vote of the people. So that's a lot of questions. Many of the people that been here, they never been in Venezuela. I've been there. I just came back on December 8th. They supposed to have, he said on social media, through social, he posted that this airspace was closed, and it wasn't true. I was flying, and it came to Dallas from Bogota. It never was closed. So he's lying most of the time when he says that Japan is going to invest $1 trillion, and Ukraine $1 trillion, and Saudi Arabia $1 trillion. He's going to bring already with the tariff $18 trillion. He's lying to the teeth, because in order to the Japanese people to get that natural gas from the USA, it takes about 650 years to get that one within a $1 trillion. And so if you see what he's talking about, he's a liar. And his whole cabinet came from the Heritage Foundation, and they want to control Venezuela because the war is against China. And when this guy Alex Saab from Colombia, he came to Venezuela, he was buying food from other countries and medicine and bringing in those big 747 that was provided by Iran. By the way, that it was a big help for Venezuela because it was blockade and sanctioned. And then he was doing that transaction, and the Argentinian government took over. He basically impounded that airplane and accused Venezuela of doing bad things. And they took in Cape Verde this guy and bring it to the USA, and he was let free because he wasn't breaking any law, and it was illegal when they put it under custody in Cape Verde. But let me put it this way: I went to Venezuela, and it was growing. That was the biggest problem for the empire. It's the country that grew most of the gross, PIB, internal product, the money. It was growing 6.5%, and you can see it on the IMF page and on the CEPAL, CEPAL. It's growing 6.5%. The highest growing of the gross product in the whole Latin America. It was Venezuela. Even with sanctions and blockade, it was growing. It produces 99.5% of the food and the processed food that we eat, and it's exporting right now to the Caribbean because they have an association they call ALBA with B as a Brown. And then that was very important for the whole Caribbean. We give the products as a brothers and sisters of colors. We give everything as the price of Venezuela, and the interest that they have to pay for the debt is almost zero, and they can pay with whatever they produce in their countries. That happens, and that's like this guy Rockefeller says, if competition is a sin, and they never gonna let that going without punishment, because you're not supposed to be cooperating with your other fellows in the Caribbean and America.
Thank you.
And let me put it this way: China, Russia, and Iran were transferring technological information about to our engineers. They really helped. USA never did that. They just want to monopolize. I'm sorry, but we've been led by people that is no good. Even Elon Musk, he comes from an apartheid family in South Africa. We are in the middle of it's a big deal. Venezuela, it was just a little thing that happens, but it's changing the world because now we're going to have a big problem in the US. China, it won't be attacking or anything, but I think economically, we are in a big trouble here in the US.
Okay.
And people is doesn't understand the complexity of this big issue that we have here.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I appreciate that, Jose. I appreciate your perspective. Let me go to James Baldwin's Rage, the sequel. I guess the only question will be, is that the sequel be better than the original? We'll find out. Go ahead, brother.
The artist formerly known as James. What's the prompt tonight, Smitty?
All right. Trump says Venezuela has turned over 30 to 50 million barrels of oil. Now, how do you think, what do you think that means? And how do you feel about, the United States going in and snatching oil up from Venezuela and taking it, basically?
Hey, Twin. I think it is extortion. I think it has nothing to do with the indictment. Why would you indict a president and need to take oil from them, except for it to be a terrible neighbor, partner, and be dishonest in the real reasons why you went to a country in violation of federal law and to steal stuff from them? And I don't think the Venezuelans should give him anything. I don't need my gas to be or anything associated with oil production to be lower by $1 if it means that I have to steal from my neighbor. But it is the history of Donald Trump to be a thief, to steal, to pillage, and to act in a way that colonizers act. And so I think my big thing is there should be no reason, given the reason why Maduro was arrested, for us to be getting oil out of the deal. Yeah. So
Okay.
that's my general opening statement, unless you want me to talk for another 20 minutes.
Goodness. All right, let's do this. We got a new panelist that wanted to come up. So let's bring up Eduardo. Eduardo, what is your opinion about Donald Trump and this oil that is supposedly coming to America from Venezuela? What do you think?
Hello, good night. My name is Eduardo. I'm actually Venezuelan born and raised. I lived over there 15 years. And now I've been living in the US for about 12, so I can tell you both sides, right? The reason I came here actually was because 2 people from my family got kidnapped for over 47 days. But by the age of 11, I already had been robbed twice by with a gun and a knife. And any Venezuelan has a story like this. Like any family you talk to, they always have something like this going on, right? So when I hear people say Donald Trump went over there to steal the oil, let me tell you guys something. Venezuelans have been waiting for this for 26 years. We offered the oil. We have been telling them for years, if all you need is the oil so we can be free from this and our family can stop dying and all of this can stop happening and we have to run from our country because everybody's being persecuted, tortured, and killed, then take that. We don't give a fuck. We always wanted the US to go there. So now when I hear people that has never experienced that and never lived communism, socialism, right? And then they want to talk about Donald Trump is stealing it. Let me tell you something. We gave it to him. We offered it for years.
Okay, so your perspective. Hold on, y'all. I know y'all want to debate. Eduardo, give me a second. Let me just make sure I understand. What you're saying, Eduardo, is, hey, you know what? If it takes giving oil to the United States to live in better conditions, you and most Venezuelans are all for it. Is that what you're saying?
99.9% of Venezuelans are 100% up for it.
Oh, hey, can we get a source on that? Because I like statistics when we throw
You
out
can go
numbers.
outside
Can we
and
get a
talk to
source?
any Venezuelan.
No.
Lies.
Okay, hold on. Let's not. So okay, listen. Let's go one at a time. I think Carolina, you wanna debate Eduardo's point. So Eduardo, give me a second. I'm gonna let you respond. Carolina wants to come in real quick though.
So first of all, love that we're working in hyperbole and elitist feelings and not actual facts and stats, right? That's not true. And we can look at the evidence once again of Black and Indigenous Venezuelans protesting and demanding the return of their leader and for the United States to get the fuck out of their country.
There's no Black Venezuelans to start with. They don't look at it.
1 second, darling. 1 second.
Hold on, Eduardo. Give me a second. Let's let her finish. I'll go back to you. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, anyway, you say we don't talk to people in Venezuela, yet I've been talking to Indigenous and Afro-Venezuelans in the country for years, including the last few days. I also work with these communities who are oppressed by the people who look like you. And so one thing I want to say before we get into all that, you know, I'm trying not to be mean, but when they say these sob stories like, oh, by the time I was 12 years old, I was robbed at Pew Pew Point. My son was robbed at Pew Pew Point in our neighborhood here in the United States in Indianapolis when he was 12 years old. I was threatened by Triple K members going to and from school. I could go on and on about the disgusting violence that my family personally and my community has faced, not to mention the fact being an Indigenous person and my people being G-sided on our own land in the United States and Mexico. But I digress. This idea that this type of crime is unique to Venezuela and that it only happened under socialist governments, like, come on, are we all slow all of a sudden? Like, is that what's happening? Do we not, like, the idea that Black and brown people are not extremely oppressed and have to face violence on a daily basis in the United States, which is a white supremacist imperialist nation. Like, okay, I am very sorry that happened to you, but let's not act like that's fucking unique. So I'm saying that alone. And then again, you cannot make an asinine statement like 99.99% of Venezuelans are 100% happy about this. I mean, this isn't Fox News, my guy. We use actual data. So if you have a source on that, I will absolutely look at it. However, video footage of the white elite Venezuelans who are in Miami and other countries, but not Venezuela, are the ones celebrating because they are anti-socialist, they are anti-indigenous, they are anti-black, and they are the daughters and sons of the colonizers who invaded Latin America. The video footage of Venezuela, predominantly indigenous and Afro-Venezuelans protesting, wanting the United States not to intervene in their country. For y'all to stop speaking for people of color, knowing damn well that y'all come here and use your white privilege and elitism against those of us who have been here as well.
All right, so let's let Eduardo respond to that. And then hold on, y'all. But I want to bring in the Venezuelans in this too.
I also want to go next, please.
Real quick, y'all. Let me let Eduardo respond to that. I'm gonna try to get in Jose and Carlos and then Apa as well. Go ahead, Eduardo. Your response to Carolina. May need to unmute you. Let's see. Okay, you should be able to unmute Eduardo.
Hello?
There we go. Yeah, we can hear you.
Well, the response kind of surprised me because not in one moment did I mention anything about color, because if you know, Venezuelans don't look at color like that.
No.
Besides that, let me tell you something. I don't know how you guys can talk about it when you talk about facts, right? Let me tell you something. Did you know that Venezuela reported 0 fatalities in child for like 20 years? And you know why that was? Because they don't report the real numbers. That's why, because when you're in communism and socialism, they're not going to tell you what's actually happening. So unless you have lived it, right? I don't know how you can even talk about it. It shocks me, honestly.
Can I respond, please?
Let me let the Venezuelans come in first. So let me go to Jose. Go ahead, Jose, and then I want to get Carlos, and then I want to get Apa.
Yes, I just came back from Venezuela, and it was no crime. The first time in my 56 years of age that is no crime whatsoever. You can have any money. No, I just came on December 8th. And I have a question. My mom is black, and there is a lot of classism and racism in Venezuela, especially with the people like Maria Corina Machado. They are like high up in the high class. And it's happening since a long time ago. That's what the reason Chavez was elected. The people got tired of this whole thing. But I want to ask you, how old are you, Eduardo? And how long you been out of Venezuela without visiting Venezuela yourself?
Yeah,
Eduardo.
hello. Me and my family go all the time. We go every 3 years. And I didn't live over there, right? I wasn't born there. Okay.
That's
Let
what
me
you
tell you
said.
something. Let me tell you something real quick. You guys talk about, oh, the US wants to go there to take the oil and all of this, right? What has Iran, China, Russia, Brazil, everybody been doing for the last 26 years? And where is that money? Doesn't Maduro have, and all of his cabinet has been found for with billions of
And that
dollars?
was
How does a
caused by U.S.
president have
sanctions.
billions of dollars again? Can any of you explain me that?
Can we
Okay, hold
get
on,
back
y'all.
to
Hold
the
on, hold on, hold
topic,
on. Hold
please?
on, real quick. Let me go to Apple. Let's let Apple. But listen, you guys, all you guys, seriously, it's got to be 1 minute. Like it's got to be quicker responses. Okay, it's a little bit of a debate. It's got to be quicker. Go ahead, Apple. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Thank you. Oh, okay. So, Eduardo, I don't know if you were here,
Don't bring up the
but
sanctions because let me tell you
can you be
something. There's
quiet? Be
Ferraris,
quiet.
there's
Be quiet.
Lamborghini,
Be
there's
Let's
quiet.
take
Be
it.
everything.
quiet. Be quiet.
Let's let Apple get his 1 minute in. Go ahead.
I literally did a presentation of how U.S. intervention, especially in 1950s Guatemala, especially in 1973 Chile, destabilized their economies and they put a nut job, a far right president in both nations, and they exploited, they unalived the masses, and they exploited especially indigenous people like the Maya Ixil in Guatemala and the Mapuche in Chile, right? And again, if you think there's no racism in your country, again, then you're anyway. There is, and people that are that claim there isn't because they don't want to see it. Right? The fact that there's lack of representation in media, and if somebody runs and they call them negrito, oh Indio, right? That is racism, right? I mean, it's asinine to think that it doesn't exist.
Okay. Let's let Eduardo respond to the racism point that
Can I go after Eduardo?
Apple just made. Then I want to go to Carlos. Carlos, you're gonna be next.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
hello.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. What do you say to what he said about racism in Venezuela?
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Thank you.
I've heard everybody that lives here talks about it, but when you talk about Venezuelans, they don't know that. That's just terms of endearment. Everybody knows it. Like I literally have family members that is like that. My grandma is literally black, so I don't know why you guys. An anecdote about a supposed come there's harina pan here? How come there's Ferraris in Venezuela? How come there's Lamborghinis in Venezuela? How come the Chavismo is full of all the stuff that supposedly cannot come in? How is that possible? Again, you guys didn't answer. How come every single person in the cabinet of Venezuela that's part of the Chavismo has accounts around the world?
So it's
Nobody
not
answered that.
socialism.
Okay.
Nobody wants to answer those questions. You just want to talk about color
I
and
can answer those questions when it's my turn. I'll wait though.
Okay. Let me go. Let me go to Carlos. Carlos, it's Carlos's turn. Go ahead, Carlos. What do you think about what Eduardo said about 99% of Venezuelans are happy about what happened? You think that's true, or you think that's close? Or?
Like I said before, 26 years, not just him, also Chavez. What he's saying about the sanctions, that his cabinet, you can go on TikTok and just Google Ferrari dealership in Caracas, and you're gonna see that the regular people, while everybody else is starving, and the government is saying, oh, it's because of sanctions, it's because of this, it's because of that. They're having their kids in the US so they can get an American passport, which doesn't make sense to me. They can also make trips to Greece, Dubai, all these parts of the globe, while also having bank accounts with multiple millions of dollars, while also saying being poor is bad. And you can look at this. Chavez said it, Maduro said it. Being rich is bad. Being rich is bad. While Chavez's daughter has a net worth of $4 billion. $4 billion. She has a net worth of $4 billion. The daughter of a president, of a socialist president, which for me, it doesn't make sense that they try to blame it on sanctions while they're also stealing the money that's meant for public funds.
Okay.
All the money for and somebody said it earlier about that they were building houses and over there for the people. That's correct. They did. That's a known fact. I'm opposition, and I can agree on that. But you also have to think about, like I said before, how much money was given to do that, and how much money was actually invested, and how much money they put in their pockets while they were doing that.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. Let me go to James. I think James, you want to come in. Go ahead, James. And I want to get Miss Nina. Miss Nina's been waiting forever, hasn't spoken. Go ahead, James.
Yeah, so the ends never justify the means. The ends, let me say it again, never justify the means. Because our dictator, when take your dictator out, doesn't mean it's an acceptable way to run governments in the country, in the world. And while I sympathize, there are hundreds of thousands of people that are homeless in this country. There are hundreds of thousands of people that die of starvation, hundreds of thousands of people that are sick and can't get access to medical care in this country. And that is a problem. We don't overthrow the government or I don't call people from China and say, come and spirit my president out in the middle of the night in violation of international law. But moreover, in violation of U.S. federal law. And I have said this and beat this drum the last couple of times I've been up here. Not only does international law forbid it, the Foreign Sovereign Immunities Act, 28 U.S.C. 1620, absolutely forbids it. And so, while I hear that people are suffering, and some people would think that a person that deported 8,000 Venezuelans back to a country that they are suggesting was unsafe for them is now somehow doing this out of the kindness of their heart is laughable at best, but stupid at worst. He deported 8,000 people, removed their temporary protected status when they were here in this country, and have brutalized them, dragged them from cars, taken them out of their cars on their way to church, and sent them back to a place that you're saying to me has food insecurity and crime, that the gangs have taken over and the government brutalizes them. And this savior that you're touting in this moment was so kind that he sent them back to that existence. But now he was happy to come and save them. If you think you're being saved by that, then you've lost your rabbit mind, because there's no way in hell, one, that he's doing it to save you, but moreover, he's in violation of our laws. And so since people say things like, you're not this, my country, you don't know what's going on. This is my country and you don't know what's going on. You don't know how he's unraveling the fabric of the law. So I will hold up the mirror to you and say, I am uncomfortable with any president doing it, particularly without the consent of Congress, in the face of the next president saying, you know what, I don't like the president of Canada, and I don't think they were elected on their own, going in, spiriting them out, and then putting in a different leader. Crazy.
I want to hear Eduardo's response to that. Eduardo, what's your response to what James said? And I think Michelle and Ms. Nina want to say something. Go ahead.
You had a couple of subjects there, so it's hard to touch everything at the same time. But from the ones I can remember, let's see, he was talking about the people that got deported with the TPS, right? I have family members that have TPS and they're not deported, right? Why? Because they weren't committing crimes. As simple as that. There you go. Let's get that out of the way. Second, the people that went there, the people that got over there, that when they came back, they were tortured and all of this stuff. It's because they were over here talking bad about the government. So guess what happens when you're in socialism? If you talk about the government and you go back, they're gonna grab you. So you see what I'm saying? Like you guys are talking things that you have no idea.
Stop with
Now,
your
if you want
comment
to
and
talk about the
fallacies,
moral
please.
part, let's talk about the moral part real quick. It surprises me a lot that the people that talk about moral and humanity and all of this stuff are actually more worried about the oil, right? Like, isn't it enough for you guys to know that 20 something million people and 7 million that are outside that had to run away from their country are actually happy because maybe there's a change now? It's funny to me, honestly, that they talk about humanity so much and then it goes out the window. Bad guy, but what about the 27 million people that actually got free? How about the millions that died for the past 26 years? Nobody want to talk about
Real
that, right?
quick, let me ask you a question, Eduardo. Do you feel like I hear what you're saying that Maduro has been deposed and but do you feel like there's a better chance that the Venezuelans will have freedom now as opposed to before? What do you think, Eduardo? And then I want to go to Michelle.
Wait, repeat the question. Sorry.
Oh yeah, no problem. You were saying now that the 20, you say Venezuelans now have a better chance of being free or
Yeah.
yes, but do you think that is true or do you think that?
If I'm honest with you, there's two types of Venezuelans, right?
Okay.
There's the type that ran away from the Chavismo, which was when Chavez was in power, and then the ones that ran like in the past 5 to 6 years, and like the new ones. The ones that have been here for a while and they had no choice but to build a new life, I don't think they're going back because most of them are already citizens, most of them already have a family, blah, 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 etc.
Okay.
Now, the ones that have been coming for the past couple, 5, 6 years, yeah, there's a really big majority that wants to go back because that's the life they know. They only been here for a couple of years, so if you have the chance to go back, you would. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear you. Okay, all right.
I want to say something, Mr. Miri. The people that just came walking, right? The people that just came walking here, they are people of color mostly, right? So that people is really bad, and you are superior somehow.
Sorry, what?
The
City,
people
real
that
quick.
came walking
superior, I don't
to the
understand.
border that cross how many six countries walking here. They are the
Yeah.
people with the most modest mean, the most vulnerable people,
No,
the people of
obviously.
color, the poorest people that came here walking, right? So that
No.
people,
People of all types
that's
of
what
life went through there
that's what you're
because it's
talking
the
about,
only way to
right?
come. It
Well,
was the only way to
they can
come.
walk. How you come to when you came to the United States? How you
Yeah.
get here?
In a plane.
Yep.
But you guys don't know understanding. Back then, there was a possibility. In the last couple of years, they
If
closed
you were
everything.
white and elite, there was a
Darín,
possibility. If you were
there's
white
no
and elite,
color. Yeah, oh
if
my
you
God,
were
you're
white
talking
and
about
elite.
color. It's not about color, bro.
Yes, it
In
is.
Venezuela, it's
Okay,
about
Smitty, I
money.
just want to
It's
ask you
not
a quick
about color.
question.
It's about
Wait,
money.
question. I have a
real quick.
question
Let
for
me.
the host. I
If
just
you
have a
want to
question
talk
for you.
about Venezuela,
Can
you
I
gotta
say
talk
something,
about
please?
social
Okay,
classes,
hold
not
on, y'all.
color.
Hold on, y'all.
Yes.
Real quick, y'all. Hold on.
Okay.
Let me just check in with Michelle and Miss Nina, and then Carolina. You'll be next after that.
Yeah, because
Okay.
I was gonna say because I need to make a closing statement because I'm gonna go after that. But yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool. All right, no
Go
problem.
ahead, Carolina. If you have to go, I'll wait.
Okay.
Nichelle can go. It's okay. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I don't understand. To James's point, I think it's important to take the American perspective into account as well, Eduardo. Like, I hear what you're saying and other people on the panel are saying, but he's so. I guess what I'm hearing is that you're okay with our dictator coming in to your country and doing whatever it is that he's going to do. So Smitty, while we were talking, I was looking at like what the plan was this week. There's a lot of feedback. There we go. Okay. So the White House is organizing a meeting Friday with the U.S. oil execs to discuss Venezuela. Because as we know, again, it's about oil. Now, the way the media is reporting it is a vast but struggling oil industry. So Exxon, Chevron, ConocoPhillips, they're all expected that fast, Smitty, within 1 week. Within 1 week. Now, mind you, again, I have whiplash. We were just on your live yesterday talking about charges that have nothing to do with this. Like, I don't know. to James's point, like, I think we're almost losing the plot here, right? Like, this was orchestrated in the dead of night to move in, to pressure Venezuela to align with what America wants because of oil. I feel like we're getting in the weeds about stuff, and don't get me wrong. Fascinating conversation, fascinating discourse, important discourse even. But to James's point, I feel like every time this part is lost. And then, like Eduardo was kind of saying, and again, this goes back to narrative, right? What is being pushed out to the American people? What's the narrative? How are you going to, how's the average American or average person going to defend this? And then it falls back on, well, don't you want to see all the hurting Venezuelans be happy? My question is, at what cost? And so, I guess we just don't care, and no one cares anymore about the rule of law. As Simply said yesterday, I swear I wish I could have clipped what she said and blasted it everywhere. The rule of law is not, it's about deterrence. It's about checks and balances. And so help me God. And just like the other guest was saying, talking about the repeating history again. You know, when people go, oh, we did it in Syria. We did it in Libya. That's not a flex. We should have learned from that. And yet here we are. I don't know, Smitty. This is like crazy to me that we keep veering off. Like nobody is talking about the fact that he orchestrated all this. And by the way, meanwhile, back at the ranch, again, this whole distraction while we're all talking about this, Greenland is now next in line. They're literally meeting and talking about, and once again, framing this narrative, Smitty, right? Because like on face value to say, oh, you know, we're going to go in and we're going to snatch Greenland. Most people poo-poo that. Oh, that's not going to happen. Come on, Denmark's not going to let that happen. It is happening. So that's why the rule of law matters.
Okay.
I don't know. That's
okay.
my thought.
No, yeah. I think Eduardo has to go. Catalina has to go. Let me let Eduardo give one last comment, and then Catalina, your last comment.
I want to say something to Eduardo, please.
Oh, okay. Okay, Eduardo, you should be able to speak. And then Miss Nina wants to come in, and she has a question for you. Do you want to hear Miss Nina's question first, Eduardo?
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead, Miss Nina.
Okay, it's just, you know what, Smitty, it's just fascinating to me to see this man here say that he doesn't feel threatened, and his TPS family doesn't feel threatened because they haven't committed a crime. Yet, I have a U.S. citizen born son that is 22 years old, that he's a beautiful indigenous looking man with long black hair and brown skin. And he had a panic attack after this event happened on Saturday because he's very in touch with his roots, and he's very in touch with the politics, and he knows his country's laws. And he said, Mom, we're in a state of fascism. These people are hungry and they don't stop. They're going to come and they're going to shave my head and they're going to take me God knows where, Mom. They're going to come for us. And this man that wasn't even born here, but he happens to be white, doesn't have fear. And my son that is a U.S. citizen, born,
I'm also a U.S. citizen, by the way, but okay.
You were not born here, just like I wasn't.
But I am a citizen.
It doesn't matter. I am a citizen
y'all
too.
get that privilege.
Okay, then.
I am a citizen too, and because of people like you that are trumpets, because I see you people now. You're coming out. You were quiet when they're hunting you down, but now that the hero did this, he got you back.
Down. Wow,
and
you're
you're
even
coming
admitted.
out saying Trump, 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 and I'm seeing you. You all were pretending to be Democrats all this year, and you're not. I'm seeing you through your true colors in every goddamn life.
We were never, because we actually come from what they call democracy, and it turned out to be socialism.
No, you're not. What do you want the Chavez? What do you want to happen to the Chavistas? What do you want to happen to the Chavistas? Answer me that.
Go to prison, of course. Oh, no. Yeah. What are they going to do? Let them free?
Well, that's what we want for Donald Trump as well, because he's committed a lot of crimes and he's a pedophile.
I respect
so you don't care if he's a pedophile?
Okay, so real quick.
Can I ask a question?
Hang on,
hold on, real quick, and then Catalina's got to go. But Eduardo, you can kind of real quick. You can kind of understand Miss Nina's point around all of the fear that was going on with ICE and deportations, right? You can understand that, right?
Yeah, for sure. I don't saying that it's completely wrong. They want to paint it like I'm some extremist. I'm not. I'm actually very understanding. She was talking about. She was comparing her U.S. citizen born son to my TPS family that actually is in danger. His son is not in danger. His son is a citizen. So I don't know how she was trying to get into my feelings with that. I didn't understand.
The audacity.
Okay.
Eduardo, I don't mean to speak out of turn. I do misinformation flat. American citizens actually are being swept up in ICE raids. I just wanted to.
Thank
I didn't
you.
want to let that go by.
Awesome. So your sources are okay, but mine aren't. Which one is the way? Because if it's gonna be fair, if I'm gonna believe yours, you have to believe mine, right?
I'm sorry. Again, I'm not debating with you. I just for the chat. Like,
You're not even debating. So you're just leaving your point.
Excuse
That's
me.
fascism right there.
So real quick,
I
real quick, real
apologize.
quick. Hold on.
Yeah,
let
I
me-
was just pointing out that American
yeah,
citizens also. I didn't say and, but also are getting swept up. You said we don't have to worry about it because we're citizens. The Supreme Court has allowed profiling, and so American citizens are being swept up and detained in ICE raids. I just wanted to point that out because you had said that it was a misinformation. I wanted to correct.
That's meaning,
we got
real quick,
Catalina.
73% of people being swept up by ICE have no criminal record whatsoever.
Thank
And I just
you.
want to point out the contradiction. He said at the top of this, which I thought was rude, that they're only arresting people that have committed crimes. And now he's proffering an emotional extortionist viewpoint by saying that his family is scared now because they're being deported too. So which is it? They're not being deported because they didn't commit crimes, or they did commit crimes? Which of the two is it?
Let me let Catalina. Catalina, I know you got to go, Catalina. Go ahead.
Yeah, because I want Eduardo to hear this. And real quick, as I go into this, because I thank you both James and Nichelle for bringing up that point. Real quick, anybody who's listening, please put a 1 in the chat if you are a non-white Latino from other countries, like that have actually been going through this oppression for a lot longer, like Mexico, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Honduras, Nicaragua, any of those predominantly brown and black countries, because I want y'all to hear this. This is exactly what I mean, and I don't care anymore. No tengo pelos en la lengua. I am so sick of Hispanics, the white Latinos, who say this disgusting rhetoric. And they are the ones who are oppressing our families, black and indigenous, in Latin America. And then they do the same thing here. There's him gloating that he's a U.S. citizen and it didn't even take him that long to get it. You know how long indigenous Mexicans have been in this country and can't get citizenship? 30 plus years sometimes. And they do everything they can. They contribute to this economy. They pay taxes and they can't get citizenship. You know how many people were fleeing G-side in Guatemala who were Mayan? You know how many people who are Afro-Latino from these countries and they are fleeing to save their lives and they can't get citizenship here because their countries aren't favored, because the United States only favors white Latinos coming from countries where they want to abolish socialism because they can't stand for other countries to prosper on their own. So he's sitting up here laughing about the fact that he gets citizenship. He gets to jump the line because he's white and he's coming from a country that the United States is trying to topple. That is very important here. They come here. I explained this the other day. I live in a city where the Latino population is predominantly Mexican, predominantly indigenous Mexican. And ever since this has happened in the TPS program, the white Venezuelans have come in and some of the white Cubans have come in and they are overtaking all of the Latino organizations. So 10, 15 years ago, we used to have these organizations focused on helping with immigration cases, helping with housing, Medicaid, food assistance, all types of mutual aid. You know what they focus on now? Small business and propping up and making, getting all these people into these elite positions. They don't even care about the majority of the community anymore because of people like Eduardo. And so I'm not for deportation. I'm an indigenous woman on my land. You know who I want out of here? The fucking colonizers. And I want them out of your land too, but that means you too. Like, y'all can go back to Europe at this point. I'm so sick of this because he is sitting here talking about privilege. I'm glad James pointed it out. He sat there and tried to say that people are getting deported because they commit crimes. Flat out lie. Flat out lie. Again, 73% of people being detained have no criminal record. There are people constantly being deported. And I'm going to give you a personal story real quick. I am an Apache woman. I'm an enrolled citizen of my tribe. I'm also Purepecha from Mexico, but I was born here. My great-grandfather, a full-blooded Apache man born in Medina County, Texas, was deported in the 1930s under the Mexican Repatriation Act because the United States government wanted to blame Mexican immigrants for the collapse. At that point, 2 million people were deported, and over 60% of them were U.S. citizens, like my grandfather, who had never even been to Mexico. So if you think that innocent people and citizens, whether they're naturalized or born, are not going to be affected by this, you are absolutely wrong. It has nothing to do with the criminal record. And so he has shown himself repeatedly up here. He's a derechista. He's an imperialista. He is not for people of color or people in Latin America.
Let's let Eduardo come in. Eduardo, go ahead. You can respond.
Hi, Smitty. First of all, I appreciate you, man, because you've been great with all of this. Again, I just want to say something. No once have I insulted anyone. No once have I called nobody a name. The whole time I've been attacked and assumption after assumption after assumption, but I'm not even going to get into that. I wish really that you guys would actually find Venezuelan people and talk to them like actual Venezuelan people, not the ones that are being paid in New York, Venezuelans. They're from other nationalities. There's Venezuelan confronting them and they stay quiet, right? About all the other stuff about race and all of that, Smitty, I'm not going to, because like I said, Venezuela is not about race, it is about social classes. I'll give you that for sure. Venezuela is a social class country. There's rich people, but that's what happens when obviously you have a government that doesn't work at all. Everybody steals and then robs from the other, okay? Yeah, I don't have no comment to give about the race, the color, all of that stuff. If you guys want to believe that, that's fine. Venezuelans really don't care. I have, like I said, my grandma is black. I have all of my family, basically, many friends. I grew up. It's crazy. We don't even think about it, but okay. Smitty, again, thank you very much. I just follow you. I'm gonna
Wait, stay. Before you leave, I have a question for you.
Sorry. I have one more thing to say, sorry. I asked 2 or 3 questions that after the half an hour talking with these 4 or 5 people, I still haven't got the answer. How come Venezuelans official Chavistas are billionaires? How come is there sanctions, right? There's also like all of these products that are not supposed to be there. And how come are we more worried about the oil than the 26 million people that are crying and celebrating? That's the part of humanity that you guys talk about that I still don't know where it is because I don't see it from you.
Wait, I have a...
Real quick.
Eduardo, I did answer.
I want to hear from Smitty. I haven't heard him.
Yeah, thank you, Eduardo. Let me, to be fair, if somebody wants to take Eduardo's question, to be fair, whoever wants to grab that
I
one.
did answer. Yeah, real quick.
I want to.
Real quick, Carol, hold on. I did answer. And the thing is, you didn't answer my question. You went back. You said I said at what cost?
What question did you answer? First, tell me what question did you answer?
You were talking about the millionaires and the billionaires, but then you specifically said that we were like Americans were more concerned about the oil.
No, not Americans. The left. Not Americans. I didn't say that. The left.
Oh, okay. The left. I'm sorry. The left. Okay, you said that they were more concerned about the oil than the people, but then James and I returned that and said, but what about the rule of law?
I heard that. Sorry, I forgot. It's just because it went on and on. Let me answer real quick.
Yeah, I did answer. But you didn't answer. That's what I'm saying. At what cost?
Yeah. Let me answer it real quick. Okay. Let me put it this way. If you put in a balance, right, and you say, hey, maybe this guy is breaking some international laws, and on the other balance is we're saving a whole country and 20-something plus million people. Yeah, I totally accept breaking the laws for sure. When I put humanity first, do you?
Okay, let's.
Smitty, I'm gonna go. Hey, I'm gonna go. I just want to say one thing. I am super sick and tired of hearing from white Venezuelans, and I really hope that more Afro Venezuelans and indigenous Venezuelans come up because they're the ones protesting in the streets. Also, he's lying about having a black grandmother. They do this all the time. They have a darker skinned grandparent, and they call them black. They call them black. They do this all the time. But anyway, love you all.
Okay.
I want to say something.
Let the Apple come in. Go to Apple. Go ahead.
Okay. Again, I am sick and tired of saying like, oh, if you're not Venezuelan, then don't speak about it. I'm speaking about U.S. imperialism. And if you weren't here, Eduardo, I mentioned que yo tengo un doctorado en historia de Latinoamérica. So I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about. Number two, you keep saying like, Maduro with like, oh, he allocated riches and this and this and this. Okay,
Yeah.
fine. That's bad.
What do you
But
mean?
are
Okay,
you,
fine. That's horrible.
oh my gosh, I'm saying fine that you mention it. Now, by that logic, is he still a socialist? By its definition,
Yeah.
is he still a socialist? Is he still a socialist? Number two, if
That's
socialism doesn't
the
work, I'm
nonsensical
still
food
speaking,
for
I'm still
people for you
speaking,
to
I'm
be.
still speaking, I'm still
Let's let
speaking.
Abra get it
If
together.
socialism was so bad to the core, why do Scandinavian nations are succeeding so marvelously? They have a long lifespan. There's great retirement plans. There's great work, compensations. Women have perfect maternity leave. There's low crime. People are saying, they did service and like they are the happiest people. And I hope you're paying attention to me, right? And like Carolina said, there's violence everywhere. I was assaulted at Pew Pew Point when I was 18 here in California in Orange County, which is, the mecca for white tea Republicans, right? Because they say like crime doesn't come here, right? And again, I'm doing this as a cautionary tale. Any historian will tell you this is a cautionary tale because if you think that U.S. intervention is better than Maduro, it's like if you have a friend that replaced a bad boyfriend with a worst boyfriend and you're telling them he's bad news and you're saying, oh no, they're going to be fine. Or your friend is saying like, no, it's going to be better because, he's not going to ignore me. Yeah, he's not going to ignore you. He's going to beat you. That's not a cautionary tale. Good night.
Okay.
Can I go?
Let's let Eduardo respond to that, and then Carlos, I'll bring you in. Yeah, I want to hear from the two Venezuelans specifically on this. So Eduardo and then Carlos. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead. Eduardo, you there? Yeah.
Yeah. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I hear you. Go ahead.
I just have one question because he said, I have a PhD in history and all of this. Okay, perfect. Now, he said, how come, if socialism is so bad, how come it works in some parts of the world, right? He has that question. Now, let me ask you this. How come it didn't work in many other countries? Why? Because there's two versions. There's the real socialism, like it happens in Europe, that now it's working, that it's been working. And there's the fake socialism, the one that they say they're going to help you and then they steal it all for themselves. Exactly what happened in Cuba, exactly what happened in Venezuela, exactly what happened in many places. That's why the government, it's billionaires. If they were in real socialism, all of the money, the oil money that they're stealing, they would invest it back into Venezuela and then everybody would be happy. We would love socialism if it was.
That's my point.
I would be the first one to love socialism if it actually was reinvested into the country. The problem in some countries like Venezuela and Cuba is that there's a couple elite that steal the money and bankrupt the whole country and everybody with it inside.
Thank you for proving my point.
You're going to tell me with a PhD in history and you don't know the answer to that question.
Thank you for proving my point.
I'm sorry, but how many blockades and sanctions those European countries are been having lately?
Because they don't have oil reserves. They don't have pockets of copper. They don't have
exactly,
minerals.
And we have it, and it still didn't work. Why? Because it was a fake socialism. You are answering the question yourself.
Can I answer Jose's question?
It's not true. They were just robbers. They stole everything.
Okay, let me do this, y'all.
Thank you very much, brother. I have to go, but thank you.
Okay, man. Yeah. Thank you for coming up. Let me let Carlites. I know Carlites wanted to come up and also share. But yeah, thanks, Eduardo.
Pendejo. Thank you. Goodbye. Qué pendejo, Eduardo. Good night, everyone.
Bro,
no llama a ninguna persona así.
Sí, yo hago lo que me dé la chingada gana. Yo soy indígena, coño.
Okay, let's do this.
¿Qué me importa? Si tú eres indígena, tú no tienes que faltar respeto a nadie.
Usted es blanca, usted es bien.
Okay, hold on, y'all.
Why are you?
Let's let Eduardo has to go. Let's let Carlites come in. Go ahead, Carlites.
Okay, first of all, you have to hear other points, and you can't base their opinion with color. Just because you're indigenous, it doesn't make your opinion right. And just because she's white doesn't make her wrong. That's not a thing. She's Cuban. You're not Cuban. You haven't lived in Cuba. You haven't lived in a dictatorship. So she has a point. She has a right to speak it, man. If she has experienced that, she has a right to speak it. The same way yo viví en Venezuela desde que nací hasta que tuve 16 años. I was born. What are you talking about? What? Do you want to ask a question?
Who said that? Go ahead, Carlos. It's Carlos' time, y'all. Let's let him finish. Go ahead.
So for me, it's crazy. We're talking about Venezuela, and they keep bringing indigenous people from other places to the conversation, and I get it. It's true. The U.S. did them bad. But if we're talking about Venezuela, let's focus about Venezuela and just ask the Venezuelan people. I'm right here. If you have any questions, just ask me. I'll answer it. It doesn't matter. But please don't go to another topic to prove one of your point. Just if you have a question about what happens in Venezuela and what is happening in Venezuela, just ask me. I live there. I have friends over there. I have family over there. I'm able to tell you guys.
So real quick, Appa, did you mean to drop? Or did I drop? Did Appa drop on purpose?
He said bye. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Let me. Yeah, go ahead, James. And I want to get Mari after James. Go ahead, James and Mari.
There are 51 indigenous tribes in Venezuela, just for the sake of sharing that fact.
I know.
There are 51.
The Wayus are in Maracaibo.
Hold on, brother. Let's let James finish.
Yeah. Is there a reason why y'all are muting when I'm talking? Let's mute, because I'm getting background noise. Thank you. There are 51 indigenous tribes. So when a person raises an indigenous tribe and says those indigenous tribes are being hurt, if you're not part of those indigenous tribes, it doesn't matter that you're claiming to be from the country. They're talking about the indigenous tribes that are being hurt by what's going on. But Smitty, I think we keep coming back to the same point. You don't have to. You don't have to be confused to understand that what we're hearing sounds very much like supremacy culture. And to be clear about it, right? Like he said, Chavez's daughter is worth $4 billion. How much is Donald Trump and his children worth? Like, what? What? So you're trading one billionaire dictator for another? Like, I truly feel sorry for the people that are coming up here that are caping for a group of people that literally deported 8,000 Venezuelans and took TPS status from them in a phased step down in 2025, thinking that they care. Now, because they went and got Maduro, they don't care at all.
Can I talk?
Okay, let me real quick. Let me bring Mari in real quick. Mari, I hope you're doing well, fam.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you? Yeah, good to have you. Good to have you. What do you think about this? Go ahead, jump in.
Sorry, go ahead. No, what were you going to tell me? Think about what?
No. What do you think about, like, I know you mentioned, hey, there's something that folks are missing here in America in regards to what's going on in Venezuela. What do you think folks are missing?
Oh, yeah. You know what I was trying to say in my point before in the other live?
Mm-hmm.
You know, Smitty, I have a lot of respect and love for you. You know that. And this has nothing to do with you. Every time I come up on this live, it always devolves into I'm white, so I can't have an opinion because I happen to be born white. Although none of these people on this panel have ever lived the situation that Carlito and I'm sorry, Carlito, así te llamas?
Sí, así me llamo, tranquila.
Carlitos and I have ever lived. And it doesn't matter in our countries if we're white, black, and anything in between. Chinese, indigenous, it doesn't matter because we all have a similar reality in our countries. We view history differently. We have a different race relationship. I'm not saying that racism doesn't exist. Of course, it does. But we have a different relationship to it than Americans do. Completely different. We look at it differently. Now, saying that, when we talk about Venezuela, and Americans come in here and they say, oh, I'm anti-imperialism, I'm anti-this, I'm anti-that. They never realize that there's other countries in the world also being imperialist. We see today, the news came out, the most craziest story that's happening between us Latinos, y Carlito sabe, is that for 20, 30 years, the Cuban government has said that there is no military in Venezuela. Today, the news is 40 Cuban military died defending Maduro. Okay?
I know that.
And what happens is that China and Russia and Iran And groups like Hezbollah and of course Cuba have already imperialized and subverted the politics inside of Venezuela. Carlitos sabe esto. This is not anything new. It's not anything new. So what Trump did wasn't based on some humanitarian aid. We all know that. It wasn't even based on oil. It was based on power. It was based on, we need to show that China and Russia, that we mean business when it comes to geopolitics and this chess game that they are playing. Chess game. I rarely hear American leftists ever criticize Chinese imperialism or Cuban imperialism or Russian imperialism. And that's something that we have to keep in mind in as well. The American point of view of the media, what you see is what the Americans do to other countries, but you don't ever see what other countries do to other countries. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for that, Marty. Anybody want to debate that point around the American left and not calling out Russia and China and other?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
For
go
sure.
ahead.
Yeah, I think it goes back to protecting the rule of law. That's the counter to Russian and Chinese imperialism. What the Chinese have tried to do in places like Taiwan, what the Russians have tried to do in Ukraine. Yes, we've talked about imperialism. We've talked about land grabs. We've talked about Russia's attempt at trying to annex more portions of Ukraine because they got the first portion under his first term. So yeah, I think it's a disingenuous talking point. But moreover, I think the commitment to the rule of law is the ultimate defense against it. You don't get one person, you never give one person the right to determine, ever, that a person isn't duly elected in another country that we have no control of their elections. We never have the right to then go to that country, arrest their leader in violation of international and federal law, and then excuse it by saying, oh, it's a power grab. In this country, the fight against imperialism, the fight against dictators is grounded and rooted in our law. And I will give it again because I think it's important. The Foreign Sovereign Immunities Act, which is U.S. law that specifically says we will follow international law, forbids what we did. And so, yes, we push back against it. Yes, we disengage it because we refuse to let one person, had he gone to Congress, we'd be having a different conversation. He made a conscious choice not to go to the U.S. Congress. He made a conscious choice because he knew he would have been told no. And moreover, for those of you that need another source, go to Vanity Fair. In Vanity Fair on November 2nd, Susie Wiles, who's the White House Chief of Staff, the most powerful person next to the president in our government, said, we need the permission of Congress to go into Venezuela, to send troops to do any work there. She said it, his chief of staff. The next week, members of Congress started saying on interviews, we need the permission of Congress. And so, yeah, my friend that just came up here is lying. And again, the ends never, ever justify the means.
Can I go now?
Yeah, Carlisle and then the show.
Okay. So I respect your opinion, man. I see what you're saying, but I just want to pose the question. Okay. You talk about rule of law, and you saying that it's a bad thing that he did it without Congress. And you know, I'm not gonna have an opinion on that because I'm not American. I'm Venezuelan. But the thing I will say is that this wouldn't have been necessary if Maduro left power when he lost the elections, which he did. That's why we got the actas. Which were proof from the CNE, Consejo Nacional Electoral, which is commanded by the government. We basically got the acts to have proof that we won the elections, that the opposition won the elections, and they were taken outside of the country. That's why they're going against Maria Corina Machado so hard. And another thing I want to point out is that if it wasn't Donald Trump, who could take him out? Because the Venezuelans, we don't have the Second Amendment over there. Chavez took it away in order for this not to happen, so we couldn't revolt against him. So he took away our Second Amendment. So we have no rights for guns. The only people that can hold guns are the colectivos, which are basically the militia paid by the government. So if you have no way of fighting a full armed army, how are you going to take them out? Especially when they hold all the power. And not just that, they also sided with the Cubans, the Russians, the Chinese, the Iranians, Hamas, Hezbollah, and everybody that lives in Venezuela that has a little bit of common sense. They know this. Because why? Because they see them. They see them. The Chinese and the Russians, right now, they're in Ciudad Bolivar mining all the minerals they can take. While the people in the government, the president for Minerven, which is basically the company that manages all the minerals, all the extraction of the minerals and all that, why are they letting them mine all the minerals, extract them out of the country, while also they mine with them so they can put money in their pockets? So this is the thing with corruption and the whole government. I wish I could explain everything to you guys and tell you all the stories, all the things that I've seen, all the things that I've heard, and especially because I have multiple friends. I have my family over there, man. And of course, it's scary what happened, but you also got to think about this was the last straw for us. Like they killed students protesting for better conditions.
A real quick follow-up question, just very quick. It's a two-part question. First question is, the U.S. is in charge, according to the president of Venezuela right now, yes or no?
Can you repeat that again?
The U.S. is in charge of the government in Venezuela right now, according to the president, correct?
With Delcy Rodriguez, the vice president of Maduro?
So Donald Trump said in the interview that he is running Venezuela, yes?
Delcy Rodriguez got sworn in yesterday.
Okay, great. Thank you for answering that question. Second part of my question. If Delcy Rodriguez is the vice president to Maduro, then she wasn't legally elected either, was she?
No, she wasn't.
The Constitution holds that.
Oh, no. I thought that they weren't duly elected. I thought that they weren't duly elected. That's where the argument falls apart.
Neither Maduro, neither Delcy, they're not. Maduro was not the
Correct, but the Constitution is how. Do you know how the Venezuelan government works, James?
No, the point I am making, yes, I do. But moreover, the point I'm making, hold on. The point that I'm making is, your argument is to save them because they weren't duly elected. Well, why then did we put in place, since we're running the country, why did we put in place a person that isn't also duly elected? This, again, has nothing to do.
Okay.
Nothing to do. I think there's
a point, Carl. Hold on. Let's let Marty answer that, and then I want to go to the show. Hold on, Carlos. Hold on, bro. Let me let Marty answer that point, and then I want to go in the show.
First of all, what I'm about to say is just speculation. It's not, facts or anything like that. So, and I think the strategy of the Department of State is they've learned their lesson when they did Iraq and Afghanistan that they cannot just take out the entire government. So they have to do this little by little. They're proxying with Delcy Rodriguez and saying, if you don't comply, then we'll have to do other things, right? They're kind of, arm wrestling her, in a lack of a better word, because they know if they take out everybody, and James, since you know how the Venezuelan government works, it's not just Delcy Rodriguez, it's people below her. It's the Supreme Court, which is all full of chavistas. It's the local government, which is all full of chavistas. It's the Congress, which is the majority chavistas. It's not, if you take out the entire chavistas, it creates chaos in any sort of government, in any government around the world. And we saw that in Iraq and Afghanistan. What I think that they're trying to do is they're trying to create a transition that's a little bit more stable until they can get elections. Now, let's see if there's going to be elections. We can't say anything for sure, right? Because we don't know. We have to see in a month from now. But that's what I think the strategy is from the Department of State. And talking to people that I know in there.
Okay, let me let Nichelle come in. Nichelle, you want to say something? Go ahead.
Yeah, again, I really hate to sound like a broken record, and I think Carlito, I think kind of answered it. When James, it's like he missed the whole point. Respectfully, he said, "Who's in charge of Venezuela?" And on paper, yes, it's Delcy Rodriguez for sure. But that just goes to show like there's a little bit of out of touchness specifically. And that's what Americans are screaming about right now. Trump has literally said, I run Venezuela now. He called your oil my oil, our oil, stolen oil, right? So, and it's interesting. It's like, oh no, she was duly sworn in by Supreme Court. So now now we're concerned about the rule of law. Like you got to pick one. It can't be both. And again, the precedents that this is setting, that it continues to set, the ripple effect that it has. Unfortunately, okay, I'm an American, but like I'm just saying, like we are the most powerful nation with the most powerful military. Okay, let's just play devil's advocate here for a second. What if the people of Venezuela loved their president, and Trump did this as a quote unquote strategic move, you know, to take over the oil industry? The point that James and I are making is that we cannot ignore the rule of law. And it's something that's going to be debated about for quite some time. This is not just conversation that we're having here. Legal experts, judges, military analysts, all of those are having this very debate right now, because you can't do that. It has implications in other places and other parts of the world. It's what America does signals what other nations can do. And unfortunately, now there's a destabilization that's happening right now for Venezuelans.
But let me just go back to what Mari was saying though, in regards to not necessarily putting Dulce Rodriguez in because they care about the government, but from the standpoint of saying that, okay, you don't want to completely take out and extract out all of the Chavistas, and so you're trying to create a situation where you still have stability. And so maybe it wasn't because they cared; it was just because they want to make sure that Venezuela is still stable. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so that's a great question, Smitty. So again, this goes back to actually what they had talked about with the charges, the 4 charges, right, Smitty? Mm-hmm. That's why this is how the administration. I'm sorry to sound like a broken record again, but it goes back to the narrative. What are they pushing to the American people? People were asking that question. They kept saying, "Oh, so this is a regime change." You know what their response was? Well, no. If it was a regime change, we would have taken all of them. So do you see what I'm saying? So again, it goes back to this very curated narrative that they're slowly trying to feed the American public so that people can be okay with it. They're pulling on the emotional side, you know, oh, he was a dictator, he's this, he's that. We've liberated people. Okay, that's been debunked. They put a legal loophole around this and said it's based on these 4 charges for you know what charges. I don't want to get the live band. But then I put this in the chat, like, why are we willfully ignoring what Trump said that he wanted to do? Saturday, he said it was oil. Monday, it was about you know what charges. We're all arguing back and forth. Oh no, it was this, it was that. And yeah, he's got a meeting scheduled with the oil execs on Friday. That's what's so frustrating to me.
I got you. Let me let Mari come back in, then Miss Nina. I got you, Miss Nina. I know you've been waiting forever. Go ahead, Mari.
I'm just wondering, Smitty, did you do a live a little bit over a year ago when the rule of law was being broken?
Probably.
In the Biden administration when we were bombing Yemen? Excuse me, yeah, in the Biden administration. Were we doing lives back then about that? Were we doing lives? Does anybody call out Obama for killing an American citizen without due process, without prior U.S. Congress authorization? I don't think anybody was. So hold on. I'm not finished.
Go ahead.
I gave you the respect.
Go ahead.
So excuse me, I'm not finished. I gave you the respect.
Your question.
You asked a question and I answered.
So I'm not done.
Okay.
So
go ahead, Marty. Go ahead.
So what's been happening is, unfortunately, and I consider myself a libertarian. I do not like the power of the executive branch. I have many problems with President Trump, a lot of problems with President Trump. However, the president has already been set with many presidents before to directly defy U.S. congressional approval. And the only reason why that they didn't get U.S. congressional approval in the Constitution is because the Constitution directly states if it's a declaration of war. Now, the Trump administration can argue, and anyone in the panel can argue that this is not a war. This was an extraction, right? This was an extraction of a fugitive or whatever it might be. So it's not technically a declaration of war because we are not at war with Venezuela. Neither has Venezuela declared war on the U.S. So neither side has declared war. This is directly from the Constitution, right? So this is how presidents, and I say that plurally, presidents have been able to get away from getting congressional approval. So, okay. I mean, this is not new for President Trump at all. This is not a new thing that he's doing.
Okay, let me get a point of clarification real quick to what Marty said about Biden. So I would offer to you, Marty, that I did about 6 months of lives on Israel, Palestine, and at least the content that I created that was the most critical wasn't President Biden, where I felt like he was breaking U.S. law in regards to funding Israel with weapons. So I would say that would be me calling out Joe Biden. But I hear what you're saying about inconsistency to a certain degree. Let me go to, but Miss Nina wants to jump in real quick. Go ahead.
Thank you, Smitty. I wanted to say so many things before, but I always get triggered by the race thing, because my daughter has a Cuban family that set her aside because she looks like me and she has very curly, tight hair, non-blonde. So it really triggers me when I hear things sometimes, but I'm going to stay focused. You have a great panel. I'm so happy that there's a lot of smart people here that care about their country, our country. Okay. And just to touch on how we criticize our government, I loved Obama because of what he represented to my Black nephews and my indigenous son. They thought actually that racism was dead because when they were born, there was a Black president all through their childhood. So, they're kind of surprised now in their 20s that we're still here. But, and I did criticize Obama about his immigration policies, even though it wasn't all his fault, but I did criticize him. I did criticize, the Democrats with Palestine too. We don't just support everything and we don't idolize politicians. We just vote as citizens. But, regardless, I would like for you, to extend an invitation because I see that every person that comes here that is from Venezuela speaks English because they're outside of Venezuela. I extend an invitation for you to use Google Translator and come to my live when there's hundreds of Venezuelans coming from Venezuela speaking about how they are ready to fight for their country because they're a sovereign country and they feel that their president was kidnapped. Okay, so I don't have to tell you all because I think you figure it out what's going on here. Michelle, I'm so happy that you found this stuff fascinating because I've been dealing with it all weekend as well in Spanish. And it's just fascinating to me that it's the same talking points as MAGA. It's a right and left thing. And it's just, and you, in my life, you won't only hear from Venezuelans. You're going to hear other Latin Americans that are living in Latin America that are super concerned with the situation because in Colombia, he's going to go to Colombia. If he says he's going to Mexico, he's going to go to Mexico. And they all know, they're very well educated on the Monroe Doctrine that people in the United States, including Latinos, don't know, which I was embarrassed for this kid, Eduardo, that was my kids were born here. They're 21 and 22, and they know about Mayas. They know about Guatemala. They know, and they're not even they haven't even been to Central America. I know about things my father talked to me about. So it's very sad that people don't talk to their kids, and this is why we're having this problem in our community right now. It's either because, the guilt, because it's your people doing the bad things. I don't know. But I'm glad that you guys are seeing this because it's so hard to explain it. I'm about to go to DJ's live because I'm sure she's been listening to a lot of stuff too. And I don't get it how they don't understand how are we not concerned as American citizens that our president is breaking the law and he's been breaking the law. And what fascinates me more about these Latinos is that they have amnesia, that just in December 31st on Christmas days, his administration was kidnapping people on Christmas Day. There was an American citizen girl that was detained right in December. And she was an American citizen. And that's one that I know of. I'm sure there's more. And these people have amnesia. They forgot. They forgot that we were being hunted like animals. But, to each his own, Smitty. But congratulations on your life. I love that. I feel so great. There's smart people around here. My goodness, because I've been explaining things. I haven't even had to talk so much because, everybody's been killing it. Everybody knows what they're talking about. And I'm so glad that many Americans are seeing right through what's going on. And we got this guy. We just got to do the work. And this fool put more work on our hands, as you can see.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Nina. I'll let you go. Go ahead. So let me get James in, Jay Blythe, and then I'm sure we'll work Marty in as well. Thank you, Ms. Nina, so much. All right. Take care.
I have a very simple question so that I can frame what I'm going to say next. The response was, that's directly from the Constitution, from Mari. What's directly from the Constitution? So, yeah, Article 1 of the Constitution is the legislative branch of our government. That the founders in the Federalist Papers, you can look up James Madison, said that the executive is quick to war, which is why we vest into the legislative branch the authority to declare war. The War Power Act of 1973, because of our actions as a country, further restrained the executive, and it has been upheld by the court time and time again. The court has said that the president needs authorization from Congress to engage in war. You might not have been here, but on November 2nd in Vanity Fair, the White House Chief of Staff, the most powerful person next to the president in the White House, expressly said that she understood that they would not go into Venezuela because the administration understood that they needed authorization from Congress. You don't need to trust me. You can go look it up. It is an article in Vanity Fair. Susan Wiles is the current White House Chief of Staff. You later opined that the Obama administration went into Yemen. And while I'm not going to get into the argument of my positioning on the actions of going to war as a country, the AUMF Public Law 107-40, you can look that up too, expressly gave the authority to the president, and it is still an active authorization for the use of military force, to go after any person engaging in acts of T against the U.S. as a result of 9/11. So the authorization for the use of military force in that particular regard was utilized as justification, and the Congress has the right to withdraw an authorization for the use of military force. But in that particular instance, the authorization for use of military force was there. So once again, I come back to the point. One, that's not what the indictments are about. So that's the first thing, because I feel like, Michelle, we're having a circular argument about this. We're having a very circular argument. The indictments are about rugs. Two, when we say it's about rugs and we can't indict a foreign leader, well, we don't think he's the foreign leader. So I say, okay, well, the law says differently. Well, no. So then when I say, well, you broke the law in going in there. So it's just a circular argument that is not grounded in the law. But moreover, the argument made previously, Smitty, was misinformation, because the authorization for the use of military force was active, and it is active under our law. I'll land with the War Powers Act of 1973 gives 3 reasons why you can go into a foreign country and engage in acts of war. 1, a declaration of war. 2, because they recognize, the framers recognize, and the creators of the War Powers Act of 1973 recognize that not everything is quote unquote a war, but has warlike capabilities statutorily. So the Public Law 107-40 is the second. The third reason why we might be able to engage in war is an imminent threat of harm to this country. Not something that we suspect, not something that can be controlled by people not engaging in the use of fentanyl. an imminent threat of harm to U.S. citizens that is clearly documented. None of them are met here. If the president's decisions are so popular, and if people agree with him so much, why in the hell didn't he go to Congress? And the answer to that question is he knew he wouldn't have gotten authorization, so he did what he wanted, and he's a dictator.
All right, let's do this. Let me let Jay Blythe get in with an opening comment, and we'll continue the debate. But I do want to bring it back to the topic, right? And Trump saying that Venezuela is going to turn over 30 to 50 million barrels of oil. What does that mean? Are folks more concerned about that? Less concerned? You think it's not a big deal? I mean, it's a big headline, but maybe it's not a big deal. And I think, again, I want to go back to this idea that I think both Marty and Carlites have said. I think Marty said it more explicitly than Carlites around, do we in America understand the mechanics of how a Latin American country like Venezuela works? I do think that's interesting to debate and talk about. Go ahead, Jay Blythe, opening comment.
Hi, Smitty. How are you? How are you guys doing? Good. Okay. So first of all, I'd like to address the prompt before I jump into anything really facts-based just for a moment. Obviously, this is thievery. Like, this is just straight up theft, like the turning over of the 30 to 50 million barrels of oil, which, by the way, is mostly crude oil and requires special refinery, which pretty much only Chevron owns. So this whole situation with the taking of oil, it's going to cost Americans more money, right? If Trump is claiming to own this oil, well, it's going to require refinery, and that refinery itself costs billions of dollars to do. So in the end, like, American citizens are going to be footing the bill for this regardless. But my overall point is a very, very broad conversation, because this ultimately leads into the conversation of the post-war world, right? I think for many years now, we've seen the unwinding of time here and the unwinding of just global democracy and global unity after World War II. And I think when we talk about this and why it's so important to uphold laws, as James has been saying, well, since 1945, we used to have between 2 to 4 interstate wars per year, and that dramatically dropped to 0 to 4 cases since 1967. So that overall change is a huge drop in conflict, and plus we had a huge increase in prosperity and democracy throughout the years, from when it comes to GDP or in the overall just democracies of the world, going from 20 to 100. From 2.5 billion people living under to 7 billion people living under some form of democracy. So I think that this whole topic is very interesting, because you have the side of the aisle where it's like, obviously the people that live there deserve to lead their country, they deserve to have a voice, and obviously they need to be part of that. And I think that those people need to have the ability to have self-determination, but the people need to do that, right? Not a foreign country coming in and deposing a leader of some sort, right? I mean, the same can be said about, let's say, North Korea. Like, if he's so concerned about humanitarianism and trying to aid countries, why is he not going for the worst of the worst? So I think it's special pleading, right? He's trying to say Trump is some savior in the situation is not the case. And if anything, your people are going to be in more peril, if anything, because now you have a country that's owned by a foreign country, which has its own issues going on. So, this whole thing is very complicated, and Kovi can definitely speak on this far more eloquently than I can. But the overall conflict between the East and the West, and this overall consolidation of power in the hemispheres, is going to ultimately cause the next large conflict, and it's coming. And I just want people to be really aware of the situation here. It's very dire. It's more than just one leader. It's setting a precedent, and that precedent is essentially following the rule of law, and it's just not happening. And that's what I just wanted to say. That's my opening statement. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Jay Blythe. Let me go to my little sis. I brought you up. There was a lot of folks that want to hear from you and get your opinion on this development in regards to Donald Trump. It's saying that Venezuela is going to be giving 30 to 50, or turning over 30 to 50 million barrels of oil to the United States, for the United States to it sounds like he said, I believe he said, sell for the benefit of the United States and Venezuela. I believe that was a full quote. So you got as much news, at least on that specific piece of this, as I do. What do you think about that?
Hello, Smitty, first of all. Yeah, when I read that article, while I was like waiting. What did I say? I said this on the first day, Smitty. I said this on the first damn day, okay? And a lot of people were sitting here saying it's going to benefit, like, people. And my question is, I also read in the article that he said like America is going to control the proceeds. Right? I'm so sorry. How are people free? I'm confused. Like, genuine question. How are people free? Like, not only is the vice president, I think, is in Russia, like chatting shit about America, and America is now controlling the government and also controlling your resources to the point where he said that he was going to control the proceeds, and you have a foreign country now controlling your resources. How are people free? I'm confused. They just changed their chains from having Venezuelan chains to now having American chains on. So, like, are people actually free? I'm genuinely confused. Where are all the young 16, 18, or 20-year-old like white teens who came up here saying that it's gonna benefit them? Like, I genuinely don't know where they are, and I genuinely don't understand why there hasn't been any pattern recognition to me. Because this is literally what America does. Like, America actively always does this. Are we pretending as if America did not invade multiple Central and South American countries for freaking bananas? To help their banana corporations, banana republics? Are we pretending as if America has not consistently been doing this to every country that it has touched, that it steals their resources? I'm confused as to why people even thought that this was for their rights. I'm still trying to kind of I'm still very confused. To me, it's not surprising, Smitty. It's not surprising at all. It's very, very common knowledge that America is going to do this. It's very common knowledge that America is specifically also targeting countries that have signed on to the Belt and Road Initiative with China and its allies. It's very, very common knowledge to me that America is actively trying to isolate countries that are not considered its allies. But to me, I'm a bit confused as to why. Especially people in the diaspora are not seeing this. Like, I don't know why people in the Venezuelan diaspora.
Let me go to Carlites. Are you still speaking, Covey? Can y'all hear me? Is it just me?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure. Carlites, I think you want to come in. You had a point of disagreement with what Covey had to say. I want to give you an opportunity to make your point, and then I think, Nichelle, you want to jump in. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, man. I appreciate the time. And I mean, to be honest, the only thing I have to say is that we had a relationship in the past with the U.S. with the oil. I mean, they were the ones that built the infrastructure, especially in Cabimas, Ojeda, which we had the Campo Petrolero. A lot of American engineers went over there, built the infrastructure. They were living over there. We love them. My dad is actually from that side. And he spoke nothing but greatness of how it was when he was growing up and the amount of opportunities and the amount of jobs that created. So I think it's difficult because what he did, he got a dictator. We know he's a dictator, and if you don't agree that he's a dictator, I'm all for the debate. I can talk about it. And the thing is, it's hard to explain to people some policies because the policies from over there that don't apply over here. I agree, and I'm grateful for the amount of coverage Venezuela is getting because in the past we have almost no coverage. For the past 26 years, we had no coverage and almost anything that was happening. In the 2014 protest, which was the first election that Maduro supposedly won, and 2017 when a lot of students got killed for protesting, and it all started going downhill after that. So I'm not saying Donald Trump is good. I'm not saying that I like him. I'm not saying that I agree with him personally. Because I mean, it's true that they ended the TPS and they've been hunting people like with deportations and all that. Like that's we have to acknowledge that. That's the thing. But I'm also saying that, and I, as a Venezuelan, can testify this, that there were a lot of people, a lot of bad people coming through the border, and I'm surprised that doesn't matter to you guys. I understand that not everyone is that way. Not everyone.
Let me speak on that specifically.
Go ahead.
Yeah. And then I want to let Michelle and then Cubby wants to respond to you. You know, on my mother's side, I'm first generation. Well, I consider myself first generation overall, but and so coming from an immigrant background myself and many others probably on this panel and then also in the chat, I think the narrative has always been, no matter what country you come from, right? The narrative has always been, especially if you come from a country like the country my mother came from, is that, oh, it's just always the worst people. You know, the only people that come to America from these countries are terrible people that commit crimes and stuff like that. When we know that the vast majority of people that come from any country are people that are just looking for a better life. And so at least when I hear it, I'm not going to speak for anybody else. When I hear, oh, the only people who come from Venezuela are criminals, it brings up trauma because that's the same thing people use to say, you know, like when Trump called my mother's country a S-hole country, right? It's kind of the same thing. And so it's not that we're not concerned about crime. Yeah, we're concerned about crime, but the reality is that in America, I'm far more concerned about somebody going up and pew-pewing my daughter's and my son's school than I am somebody from the southern border, because the reality is that those folks commit far less crime than people who were born in the United States. And so we are concerned about crime. It's just those folks don't tend to be the ones that commit most of it. Does that make sense?
I understand your opinion. It makes sense. It does.
Okay. Appreciate that, man.
Can I say something, Smitty?
Yeah.
Okay. The charge of drug, whatever, drug trafficking from Los Carteles de los Soles was dropped today. It was dropped, completely dropped, because there was there was no proof. They already proven that it was a lie. TDA was a lie. They already been proven. Now there are other charges, and basically they have no charges. I mean, he's gonna only if they keep it here by force as a prisoner of war, it's the only way they can keep it here. It's illegal and illegitimate what they did, nationally and internationally. He's breaking all the rules of the world. But what he's saying, Venezuela, I've been there. I came back on December 8th, and it's peaceful, a lot of tranquility, no crimes. It's unbelievable what happened in Venezuela. Everything is under control. They have problems. They have inflation and everything every day due to something that they do into Nigeria and Venezuela only, because they are getting paid by USTD, Binance. They are getting paid most of the things by USTD, but they have a limit. Binance have a limit of 15 to 20% of that you can fluctuate on the price. But in Venezuela and Nigeria, they leave it open. They're supposed to be paying the official rate on Venezuela of the dollar is 301, and now it's 700 on Binance. Same thing happening in Nigeria, who happens to be,
you're talking about monetary
because they cannot use the dollar. and they are getting paid on Binance. And now this is
Wow.
another method. Economically, it's a war against Venezuela. And guess
I
what?
see what you're
Venezuela is
saying.
growing. The internal
Wow, I didn't know that.
the GDP is growing. The one that growing the most in Latin America, 6.5, and last year it was 8.5% growing the GDP. And guess what? They have 18 trimester growing. And that's what happened with blockade and sanctions. Venezuela is producing 99.5 of whatever they eating, and they are exporting
So,
processed food.
real quick. I'm sorry, Jose.
Can I ask him a question?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Real quick. Let me just check in with Nichelle, and I do want to get Anna. But the reason why I interrupted you, Jose, was not to stop you, but it was I've seen like 3 people say charges have been dropped against Maduro. I have a hard time believing that. Can somebody just check in the chat, or Ahmad just check that? That
I
just
did.
sounds. I feel like this chat would blow up with comments if that were
Yeah.
true.
No,
And it's a weird time given that it's what, 10 o'clock? I mean, I
you
guess it
said
could happen.
so. The statement was the charges have been dropped against Maduro.
Yeah. I've seen that 3
No,
people put that in.
That was dropped.
here in the Southern District of New York or in Venezuela.
Because that is not cartel of de los soles. They claim that he was the leader, and he wasn't even existence, and they prove it. And they dropped it.
Okay. I see what you guys saying.
Okay.
Okay, hold on, y'all, real quick.
Yeah.
Let me just bring in. Did you want to say something else, Michelle?
So just real quick, the 4 charges have remained the same. I just wanted to point something out that I, again, stark contrast to the passionate discourse that we've had tonight. So 2 things. The Google search trends that track like what people search for. So peaked with Maduro on Saturday and is practically non-existent now. AP just did a poll and said that this is the farthest thing of what Americans are talking about. And that's extraordinarily concerning for me, because to me, this gives the administration more license to just kind of do what they're going to do without Americans even caring about it. Within his base, I think it's like 39% approve of what happened on Saturday. And the reason I bring that up and why that matters and why these trends and things like that matter, well, first of all, Americans are really focused on domestic things like the economy, cost, healthcare, those types of things.
Yeah.
But again, in this stark contrast with the headline and again, the narrative that's being pushed, but Americans aren't even, like, it's not even on most people's radar. And to me, that gives the administration more license, right, to just kind of do these things, whether it's Venezuela, whether it's Denmark, whether it's, Greenland. And that's concerning to me. I just wanted to point that out. Like, the contrast between the 2.
That's a very interesting. I was going to get Anna right when she dropped. Let me go to. I think Covey wants to say something really quick. I was actually going to hear with Anna's because I want to hear Anna's perspective. But to your point, Nichelle, I mean, all you got to do for those that live in America, all you got to do is go to Europe, and you'll find how much more those people in any European country talk much more about politics and about these type of things than people in America. I mean, it's like they have me on my toes, right? When I go out there, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just a whole different culture in regards to
the apathies are concerning.
Very different. Go ahead, little sis, and then I do got to run, y'all.
Yeah, I just wanted to say this to how do you say your name? Carlite?
You can call me Carlos. Carlos is fine.
Carlos, okay. You said a relationship like Venezuela and America had a relationship when it comes to the oil, right?
In the past, yeah, they did.
Okay. You don't have a relationship, you're controlled. Like I need you to understand this.
In the past?
When you're now, I'm saying now.
Yeah.
When you're talking about business relationship and all that stuff, it makes it seem as if you think that you have any type of control in this, as if it's in any way a balanced 2-sided business relationship. It's not. You're occupied.
So
right? And I don't understand when you have a foreign country coming in, doing whatever it wants to do, That is not you having a business relationship. That is you being exploited. And I feel like I need and you don't have to sit here and tell me that Maduro is a dictator or whatever it is. I don't support him. I'm not sitting here telling you have to support him or whatever it is. What I'm telling you though is you as a Venezuelan person in this situation has absolutely no choice, no control. You're just sitting ducks. And you have to do and deliver every single thing that America tells you to do. And you have absolutely no control. So this is not at all. This is not a controlled relationship. This is exploitation.
Can I respond to you?
Yeah. Let's let Carlos respond, and then I want to make a quick announcement. Then I gotta go. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna use the same example she used. She said that America, we don't have a relationship with them. We're being controlled. Okay. What about Russia? What about China?
Support Russia. Stop with the straw manning.
No.
Please stop straw manning. Every time I address America, people bring up Russia and China. I don't support.
Chloe, just to let you know, the United States pay only 1% of the oil that they produce in Venezuela back then. Chavez changed the whole equation. It was like
Chavez is an American president,
I'm
right?
telling you, this is the truth. Just check it out. How much percentage Venezuela kept back then? It's only 1%.
I gotta run, y'all. Carlos, you want to say something real quick?
I just want to say that, I mean, she posed the question as we're being controlled, and I told her, yeah, we've been controlled, but by Russia and China, we've been controlled for the past 26 years for Russia and China with the oil. We have no say. We have no say whatsoever about what to do with the oil. And on top of that, people were saying in the comments, I saw that.
Wait, so you're okay with being controlled, but you just want to be controlled by America? That's the difference.
No. Hold up.
No, but you said you don't want to be controlled by Russia and China. You want to be controlled by America.
But hear me out. I spoke about it earlier before you were here. So we're tired of being controlled.
No, but you are still being controlled. You chose to be controlled by America.
Okay, just tell me something. Just tell me something before I leave, and we leave it like that. How would you throw out Maduro out of the question and the Russians and the China and keep it sovereign? I want to know the answer to that.
Sorry.
You know what happened? What happened in Cuba? Real quick. Fidel Castro was missing the point many times, and he got the red rifle. He went back and he fought. You want to go fight? Go do it. But you are here asking for an invasion here, hidden in the U.S. safely because you are a coward. That's all you are, a coward and an ignorant. That's all.
All right. Hold on. Let me come in. Yeah. Thank you. I want to make a quick announcement. Just really quick, y'all. So one of the things that, as a host, right, it can be difficult to keep the space, right, informative and educational, all that kind of stuff. Another person who I think would be an amazing host is Nichelle, because I think she does a really good job on my platform of keeping things respectful and amazing. So I just wanted to say, let's make sure we support her as she starts doing TikTok lives. And I think she can add an incredible amount of wisdom and intelligence and a really cool space. So, Melissa, thank you, fam. So let's make sure we support her when she goes live as well, because I think she's going to be doing that more. You guys know I'm all about supporting and having honest and cool conversations, right? So I appreciate Jose, Jay Blythe, Carlos, and Nichelle. Appreciate you. Much love to all of you guys. You guys take care, and we'll see y'all soon.
Bye, Smitty.
Bye.
Next individual. If you're on YouTube, hit that thumbs up. If you're on TikTok, tap that screen. We have 45 minutes left on the live, everyone. And then I do have to get off for today. We have 45 minutes left on the live. Actually, a little bit over 45 minutes. We actually have 48 minutes? Something like that.
True.
Yo, what's up? How old are you? Jules, thank you for the meteor shower.
Yes, we'll see what virus I get from this.
Yup. From the Pinterest virus, yeah.
Okay, I don't think they meant to. HME,